You ever feel like your workouts just aren't cutting it? Like no matter how many squats you do or how long you hold that plank, the results are barely there. And your motivation? Hanging on by a thread. Well, this isn't just another video telling you to try harder or push through. This is a challenge. A brutal, no excuses, 10-minute home workout that 99% of people fail to finish. But here's the twist. You're not just going to watch someone else struggle through it. You're going to understand why this routine is breaking even the most committed fitness junkies, what happens to the body and mind in those final minutes, and what exactly separates the 1% who make it from everyone else who taps out. This isn't about aesthetics or trending TikTok moves. This is about raw endurance, discipline, and unlocking something most people never even know exists inside them. And yes, if you've clicked this video because deep down, part of you thinks you can be that 1%, you're in the right place. But I need to warn you, this story goes way deeper than sweat and sore muscles. It starts in an ordinary apartment, with one person. No fancy gym. No equipment. Just a timer, a mat, and a promise to finally stop making excuses. The first 2 minutes. Easy. Anyone could do it. But then something shifts, something in the eyes, the breathing, the focus. And right there, in that moment of physical breaking, a psychological game begins. This isn't just a workout anymore. It becomes a war against distraction, doubt, and the voice in your head screaming to quit. You're going to see what happens when someone refuses to listen to that voice, and what happens when they do. So if you've been hopping from one viral fitness trend to another, flat belly in 5 days, hit to burn belly fat fast, morning workout that transforms your body, and still feel stuck, stay with me. Because this isn't a hack. It's a test. One that reveals more about you than any mirror or scale ever could. You're going to find out exactly what this 10-minute routine does to the human body. You'll learn whether the 1% finish because they're stronger, or because they think differently. And yes, by the end of this video, you'll finally get the answer you came here looking for. But here's the catch. Just when it seems like the workout's over, something happens that nobody expects. Not even the person doing it. And that changes everything. The timer on the phone kept ticking, louder in her ears than it should have been. 4 minutes in. Sweat trickled from her forehead, stinging her eyes, but she didn't stop. Couldn't. Not after how far she'd come. Not after everything she'd given up to make it here. This wasn't just a home workout video she stumbled across during a 3 a.m. scroll. This was the beginning of something deeper. Something she couldn't quite name yet. The moves themselves weren't complicated. High knees, squat pulses, plank shoulder taps. But somewhere in the third round, the routine turned into a monster. Her legs started to tremble, her arms shook with every push-up, and her breath came in shorter gasps. She thought it was just the intensity at first. But then the lights in the room seemed to dim, not from the bulb, but from something inside her. Like her body was slowly detaching from her own will. And right then, in the haze of exhaustion, the video trainer on screen, who was silent up until now, locked eyes with the camera and said something that wasn't in the script. "Don't stop now. We're just getting started." She froze. Not because the instruction was unexpected, but because the voice said her name. Her actual name. Not some generic "you got this" cheer. Not a robotic motivational chant. It was her name, spoken clearly, confidently, directly through the screen as if someone had been watching her. She stumbled back, confused. There had to be an explanation. Maybe the video had audio triggers. Maybe she'd signed into something she forgot. But nothing made sense. She had downloaded the video offline. No internet. No connectivity. Yet somehow this trainer, this man with piercing eyes and a disturbingly calm tone, was speaking directly to her. And the way he was watching, it didn't feel like a pre-recorded message anymore. Felt like surveillance. She paused the video. The screen froze on his face. But even frozen, his expression looked alive. As if blinking would let him move again. Her pulse surged. This wasn't a workout anymore. It had become something else. She backed away from the screen, trying to convince herself that maybe she was just overworked. Maybe the stress of chasing visible abs in 5 days or going all in on some viral 10-minute belly fat burner challenge had finally caught up with her. But then the screen flickered and the timer reset itself. Not to 0. To 10 o'clock. The exact duration of the routine. A new workout began to play. Different moves, darker lighting, and the trainer. He wasn't alone anymore. There were others in the room now. People she didn't recognize, but whose faces looked haunted. Hollow. Movements robotic. They were following the workout perfectly, but something about their pacing was off. Too synchronized. Too exact. And then she saw it. One of the participants was her. Not just someone who looked like her. It was her. Same tank top, same scar on the right collarbone, same sweat-dripping pattern. She reached for the remote to shut it off, but it slipped from her hand. In that frozen moment, the trainer's voice cut in again, more stern this time. "You're halfway through. Don't give up like you did last time." That phrase hit her harder than any burpee ever could. Like you did last time. How could he know? She hadn't told anyone. Hadn't posted about the breakdown she had the week before. The moment she stood in front of the mirror and tore up every fitness plan she'd printed, every low-carb meal prep schedule she taped on the fridge. She hadn't said a word to anyone. Not even in her fitness tracker notes. That moment was private. Worse. And yet, here it was. Spoken back to her through a screen that shouldn't know her at all. The next 5 minutes blurred. She didn't even realize she was doing the moves again. Lunges, mountain climbers, then a brutal twist. Jump squats with an overhead pulse every 10 seconds. Her body was on autopilot, driven by fear, by adrenaline, by some unknown force pressing her forward. Every time she tried to pause, the screen flickered violently. The trainer's expression sharpened. The lighting in her room even seemed to dim. It was as if quitting wasn't an option anymore. Not physically, not psychologically. The routine had locked her in. Meanwhile, a subplot had begun unraveling. Her phone started receiving notifications, but not the usual kind. These were old messages. From people she hadn't spoken to in years. A childhood friend, a former teammate from high school cross-country. An ex she thought had blocked her. Every message said the same thing. "I couldn't finish it." She scrolled faster, dozens of variations flooding in. Stopped at minute 6. Blackout at 7:42. Don't trust the trainer. One message stood out, time-stamped only seconds ago despite being from a number she didn't recognize. It read, "If you make it past 9:00, everything changes." She looked at the timer. 12. Her muscles screamed. Every cell in her body begged for rest. But she had to keep going. Not because of pride. Not because of results. But because now, this workout had unlocked something no fitness video ever should. A buried connection, a digital thread tying her to something much bigger, something dangerously organized. Every viral challenge she'd ever seen, every "try this for 5 days," or "only 1% can do this" claim. What if they weren't just clickbait? What if they were part of a system, one that filtered people, tested them, selected them for something? At 8:59 the screen went black. Her room fell silent. Just her ragged breathing. Her heart thudding like it was trying to escape her chest. Then a final frame appeared. Not the trainer. Not the other participants. Just a sentence, stark white on black. "Welcome to Phase 2. And that's when she heard the knock at the door. Not a notification. Not a phone buzz. A real knock. 3 slow taps. Then silence. She wasn't expecting anyone. No deliveries. No friends coming over. And yet someone or something was standing just outside her apartment. And they had waited until she reached the end. Until she proved she was in the 1%. She held her breath. The screen remained black. Her phone was dead now, though she hadn't touched it. Her body, despite the agony, was wide awake. Wired in a way she'd never felt before. She crept toward the door, pulse steady now, not from calm but from clarity. Whatever was happening wasn't over. It was just beginning. She didn't answer the door. Not right away. Instead, she stood frozen, one hand clinging to the side of the wall like it was the only thing tethering her to reality. Her heart pounded louder than ever, but not out of fear. Not exactly. It was something else now. A strange mix of anticipation and dread, like the moment before a roller coaster drops, when you know something irreversible is about to happen. The knock hadn't come again. Just those 3 deliberate taps, and then total silence, which somehow felt worse than if there'd been someone shouting her name or rattling the handle. It was the kind of quiet that made you question whether you'd heard anything at all. She inched toward the peephole, careful not to let the floor creak beneath her bare feet, and when she finally dared to look, there was nothing there. The hallway was empty, but she knew better than to feel relief. When she turned around, her TV was back on. The same trainer, only now his tone had changed. He was pacing in what looked like a dimly lit warehouse, wearing all black, his demeanor sharper. "You passed the physical," he said, speaking as though the room weren't between them. "But the real test begins now." He paused. "You've felt it. The workouts were never just about your body. They've been preparing your mind. You've been conditioned to listen, to endure, to obey under pressure. That's what makes you eligible." Eligible for what? She wanted to scream. But she didn't. She just stared, too stunned to move. The screen glitched again, but this time not to another video. A live feed appeared, grainy and flickering. It was surveillance footage. Her apartment hallway. From an angle she couldn't place. She was watching herself, watching the hallway. In real time. Her knees nearly buckled. The video cut to black again, then another feed began. This time it wasn't her building. It was someone else's. Another apartment. Another person. A man, mid-30s, clearly in the middle of the same workout she had just finished. His face was pale, jaw clenched tight. And then, as if on cue, his screen flashed with the same message. "Welcome to Phase 2. She watched as he glanced around nervously. Then he too heard the knock. 3 slow taps. He bolted to the door, threw it open. No one there. But something was left on his doorstep. Box. Plain black. No markings. He picked it up, brought it inside. When he opened it, he recoiled so hard he knocked over a chair. She never got to see what was inside because her screen went dark again. This time for good. Every device in her apartment suddenly powered off. Her phone, TV, smart clock, even the lights. Complete blackout. That's when her window lit up. Not from inside, but from something outside, a beam scanning slowly across her blinds. She dropped to the floor, heart racing now with real panic. She crawled into the hallway, trying to get to the stairwell, but the building had gone eerily still. Every apartment door she passed seemed to echo with silence, like the place was suddenly abandoned. And just as she reached the stairwell, her phone vibrated, glowing with one message. "You're not alone in this. Don't run." The subplots began to snap together. She remembered the online forum she'd once visited in a rabbit hole of fitness advice. It was a weird thread buried deep in a subreddit no one talked about publicly. People claimed there were programs that weren't just workouts. They were gateways. Psychological filters. And the people who completed them, they didn't go viral. They disappeared. At the time, she thought it was just conspiracy junk, something made up to get clicks or views. But now, all of it was playing out in real time. And there was one detail from that thread she couldn't shake. Someone had said if you finished the 1% routine, you'd be contacted, not just watched. You'd be recruited. Not for a gym. Not for an elite team. But for something off the grid. Something untraceable. As she descended the stairs, floor by floor, she began noticing something odd. Small symbols drawn in chalk on the corners of the walls. Like markers. She hadn't seen them before. Or maybe she just hadn't looked closely. Each one different. A triangle inside a square, a spiral with a line through it, a strange kind of hourglass. She didn't stop to decode them. Her only thought was to get out, breathe fresh air, find someone. But when she pushed open the building's exit, the city she knew had gone silent. Not just quiet, silent. No traffic. No voices. No wind. Her entire street was bathed in a strange glow, like the sun was stuck just below the horizon. There was no one in sight, except one figure standing across the road. Dressed in workout clothes, motionless, head tilted slightly like they were listening to something she couldn't hear. She stepped back into the shadows instinctively. Her phone vibrated again. Another message. Keep moving. You're not ready yet. Not ready. She had just survived the most grueling 10-minute challenge of her life. Her muscles were still on fire. Her brain overloaded. But somehow that wasn't enough. There was another level. And apparently others who had reached it too. She started to realize this wasn't about fitness anymore. This was about control. Conditioning. A new form of recruitment that used viral trends as its mask. All the trending searches she'd clicked, get toned in 10 minutes, how to lose belly fat fast, workout challenge no one can finish, they were all part of a massive funnel. A system built not to sell programs but to find people. People like her. In the distance, the figure across the road began walking. Not fast, but steady, purposeful. And as they did, other shapes emerged from alleyways, sidewalks, rooftops, all moving toward her building. She bolted. Her mind raced with only one question. What happens when they reach me? She ducked into a parking garage, heart pounding so hard she thought it might echo off the walls. That's when she heard the voices. Not around her, inside her earpiece. The one she forgot she was wearing. A voice, low and calm, spoke directly to her. We're watching. You're not alone. But you must keep going. Phase 3 is coming. And only the true 1% get through it. Then the voice said her name again. Not just her first name. Her full name. And this time she didn't feel fear. She felt chosen. But for what she still had no idea. And then the elevator behind her dinged open. Without anyone pressing the button. Sure. Once you send the title, I'll create a thumbnail prompt based on it. Powerful, cinematic, and emotionally intense. That includes all key characters, an aggressive, suspenseful tone, and strategic visual hooks to make the audience stop scrolling and click. Here's a template example of what you'll receive after sending the title. Create a dark, high-contrast cinematic thumbnail. In the center, feature a fierce-looking woman, drenched in sweat, mid-scream or pushing through a brutal workout move like a plank or burpee. Her face should show pain, power, and determination. Behind her, display shadowy silhouettes of mysterious figures in workout gear, standing still with glowing red eyes or masked faces, suggesting they are watching or controlling her. Include a flickering digital timer at the bottom reading 1 minute, to suggest something critical is about to happen. In one corner, show a broken phone screen with the words, Welcome to Phase 3, faintly visible. Use bold, glitch-style text across the top saying, Only 1% survive in red or white. Background should be a dimly lit warehouse or eerie home gym with harsh overhead light casting intense shadows. Make it feel urgent, terrifying, and addictive, like the viewer has to know what happens next. Once you send your actual story title, I'll tailor the thumbnail prompt to match it exactly, visually and emotionally, using top-performing YouTube trends and storytelling psychology to boost click-through and retention. Ready when you are.